Welcome back to Team O'Neill. I'm Wyatt. What we're going to talk about today are hydraulic handbrakes. These go by a few different names depending on what kind of racing you're doing. You know, the drift guys are more likely to call it an e-brake. In off-road racing, it's just a rear brake handle or rear brake lever. But either way, it's a really simple system that just hydraulically locks up the rear wheels. So let's take a real quick look at what a hydraulic handbrake is, how it's plumbed through the vehicle, and how you could put a hydraulic handbrake in pretty quickly with a few tools. All right, so a hydraulic handbrake like this, really nice to have so that as you're going through the corners, you can lock the rear wheels up when you want to, slide around a little bit more for those tight corners, let it go, grab your gear, do what you need to do. Makes the car really nice and maneuverable without relying on a cable parking brake. And you've seen the stock systems in a lot of production cars are pretty garbage for hard use. So this is a lot more solid and a lot more reliable. It's actually a really simple system and something that you could do very easily. There are dozens of kits at least online where you can go buy a hydraulic handbrake kit. The trickiest part is going to be fitting that to your car and then just plumbing it in. The first thing you're going to want to do is look at where you're actually going to fit this. You can see in this car, we've made a bracket that fits to the original shifter mounting locations and also connects to this support bracket here, which was for some part of the dash. And that's plenty stout. You're just going to look for something that's not going to flex or move around too much as you're operating that handbrake. If you're lucky like that and you find some stock mounting locations for something you're not using anymore and you can make a bracket and just drill it and run off of that, wonderful. If that's not possible for your application, you'll have to do some minor fabricating, make a little bracket and weld it to the tunnel or wherever you'd like that handbrake to go. You will see a lot of folks actually prefer it in the original parking brake location, you know, where this fire extinguisher is, so that the handle's like here instead of there. I would caution you only to look at if you're putting a real race seat in and a roll cage and all this stuff. Once you really get in here tight, and if I had my belts on and I was doing what I need to do, you can't get here because of this part of the seat. And once you've got your harness on and everything else, you're okay to go with a lot of this stuff. But down here isn't as much of a possibility just because of the ergonomics of the race seat, especially something that's holding you in really well. You're not going to be able to oftentimes use that original parking brake location. So when you are planning where to put this and you know the length of the handle and the angle of things, just always be thinking about time to get to it and ease of access so that as you're driving, you can grab it pretty quickly and do what you need to do. The shifter clears it. It's not whacking into the dash. You're not going to jam a thumb or bang your fingers up or something like that. You can use everything just nice and easy, and it's always right there. This is another hydraulic handbrake setup that we've got going into a Fiesta rally car. This is the lever and it simply pivots off of there. This is the master cylinder that you can see. This whole bracket mounts nicely into that Ford Fiesta in a fairly stock location, somewhere nice and easy. Once you've got the handle and the bracket and everything kind of mounted in where you'd like it to be, all you need to do is plumb this thing. Really simple. This is just a brake master cylinder. You know, just like many original brake master cylinders that are commonly available. And all you need to do as far as plumbing for this is take your rear brake line off of the master cylinder, typically in the engine bay, unless you've got a pedal box or something like that. And you're just going to run that rear brake line into the master cylinder and then out again to the rear brakes. If you're not sure which one's in and out, just go online and check which master cylinder you have. In a lot of cases, it's in here and out there, but don't take my word for it. A quick search for your exact application is definitely the best way to go because this one is opposite. And then when you run the line out of the master to the rear brakes, that's your opportunity to add in an adjustable proportioning valve, or what's a lot of times called an adjustable proportioning valve, which is really just like a fluid reduction valve. All this guy does is restrict essentially the amount of fluid that can pass through there. We could do a whole video on brake balance, brake proportioning in race cars, but essentially just know you're restricting the amount of brake that goes to the rear when you're using the normal foot brake. When this is wound all the way out, you're gonna have a lot of rear brake. Like when you brake hard, the rear brakes are gonna lock up real easily. That's gonna be real sideways everywhere you go. And then the more you crank it, the more it restricts that flow to the rear, so you can really dial in, 60-40 brake, 70-30 brake. You've got to test and feel it out on different surfaces and see what you got going on. But super handy to have, and definitely something you're going to want. Again, all you do is run the rear brake line from the original master into your hydraulic handbrake, out of that into this, out of this, T to each of the rear wheels, and your job is done. Definitely, as you get involved with different kinds of racing, make sure you look at the rule book. There's some drifting where it requires a standalone handbrake that goes to a whole nother brake caliper on the rear wheel. So in that case, this wouldn't be plumbed through your normal brakes. You just have a reservoir. As you use the handbrake, it pressurizes that fluid and it goes to its own calipers on the rear discs. So the normal brake system is all there. The normal rear brake line runs to the normal rear brake calipers. And then you've got an additional standalone hydraulic handbrake system with its own reservoir and its own calipers on the rear. It sounds tricky, but you can find brackets to do that and those calipers online pretty easily for most kind of commonly drifted applications. And that's really all you need to know in a nutshell about hydraulic handbrakes. If you're interested in kind of when and where and how to do handbrake turns, we've got a specific video about that, and I'll add that link in the description. Especially these days with more of the push button parking brakes and that in the nicer cars that you get out there. When you do get involved with racing or doing more stuff, you're gonna be looking at putting a hydraulic handbrake in. So hopefully this quick little video shines some light on that process and makes it a little less daunting, because it's really pretty easy. So we hope you enjoyed this quick little video. If you've got any questions, comments, anything, please leave it in the comment section. If you're interested in doing some driving yourself, check out teamoneil.com. We've got rally driving and drifting and all kinds of really fun courses that you can come up and take. If you like these kinds of videos, please check out the channel and consider subscribing. Until then, have fun, be safe, and we'll catch you next time.